Hey everybody, Terry Good here, and I'm going to show you how I do my Instant Pot chicken rotisserie style. So a lot of people are afraid of the Instant Pot because it is a pressure cooker. People get nervous that it's going to explode or something, but I always recommend read your factory directions and don't be afraid of it because your Instant Pot could be your best friend. So you might notice I have some gloves on. You can buy gloves. I'm going to be handling a raw chicken, and it just kind of grosses me out, and I do have like long fingernails and I don't want germs getting underneath my nails. So I do glove up for this particular thing, and I'm going to start by warming up my Instant Pot. So I already have it plugged in and I have it on the saute function. So the trivet that comes with, this is my trivet, it's out. It's not going to be in there at first, but I'm going to sear the chicken and then I'm going to pull the chicken out for a second, put the little trivet on the bottom, and then put in some water, and that's how we're going to cook the chicken. So first things first, I've got the chicken all ready. Sometimes chickens come with gizzards in them. This is the chicken. It's all ready to go, and mine did not have any gizzards or anything, stuffed in the cavity at all. So you do want to check that, like check inside of it to make sure there's nothing in there. Now you'll read some places or in some recipes they talk about rinsing your chicken. Because you're going to be cooking it in a high pressure cooker, it's going to get hot enough to kill any bacteria. So there's really no reason to rinse it. Rinsing it is only going to splatter bacteria around in your kitchen. So what you are going to do though is you want some paper towels around so that you can pat it down so that it's nice and dry. Okay, because it's going to cook better when you're trying to sear it. So you pat it down. And once again, I'm over my kitchen sink here, and when I'm done with doing all of this, I'm just saying this in case I forget it later, I will be sanitizing my sink when I'm done, right? I'm going to use a sanitizer on that. There we go. Okay, so the chicken's nice and dry, and I've got my trash can all ready to go. I want to be careful not to get a bunch of junk all over, just in general, because cross-contamination is a thing. All right, so my chicken's just about ready, and this is literally how I do it. It's pretty simple. So I have some herbs pre-mixed, right, because I wouldn't want to touch my chicken and then touch a bunch of different bottles, okay? So what I've got here is a tablespoon of minced dried garlic, a tablespoon of minced onion, a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, and about 2 teaspoons of paprika. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sear it first. And first thing I'm going to do is rub some of this onto the chicken, the seasonings. And I'm going to save some of this because I'm going to put some more rub on it when I'm going to brown it first, and then it's going to go back in to actually cook under high pressure. Okay, so I'm just rubbing her in. So it's going to go in, breast side down, and I've got some oil in here too. So the Instant Pot's been on the saute function, and I've got about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil in there, and you can hear it kind of sizzle. Okay, so this is how I got it started, and I'm going to take my gloves off. So when you take your gloves off, you go 1 thumb in, and then you carefully pull it in with the other thumb so that all the germies stay in the middle. Okay, I'm going to throw that away and wash my hands. Okay, so this is going to go about 5 minutes on each side, 3 to 5 minutes on each side. This is about a 4-pound chicken. So we're going to go about 3 to 5 minutes browning. On this side, I'm going to use a pair of tongs and a spatula. When it's time to turn it, I'm just going to reach in there and I'm going to use this to flip it. So I'm not going to turn it quite yet, but I'm just going to flip it. Okay? And then once it's brown on both sides, I pull it out. It's going to sit right here, and I'm going to put some onion and some lemon and some garlic right inside the cavity. Put it back in on the trivet, and then this is the key. For every pound if it's already thawed chicken, for every pound, you're gonna do 6 minutes. Since I have a 4-pound chicken, it's gonna go in for 24 minutes at high pressure, slow release. So you're just gonna leave it alone for about 15 minutes. Okay, so the chicken is about ready to be turned. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like. I'm just gonna reach in, and I'm just using my big old spatula here. I'm gonna turn this guy over. So I'm going to brown the other side, and then it's going to be time to stuff the cavity and put it in to cook on that high pressure. So I'm going to pull this guy out for a second because the trivet has to go in, okay? So I seared it without the trivet in there, okay? So now the chicken's going to sit on that. It's going to get cooked at high pressure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stuff the cavity with some onion and some lemon. Okay. And I'm going to squeeze some lemon over it. And I've also got some garlic going here. You heard our kitty in the background. He's pretty excited about the chicken. Okay. And I'm going to, remember I had some seasonings pre-mixed. Okay, so now this guy's gonna go back in on top of the trivet, breast side up, stuffed with garlic and lemon, okay? Then I'm just gonna pour some water in. I had to shut off the saute function. So I poured some water in, so you always have to have water when you're working with, wash your hands a lot, right, if you're touching. You always have to have water when you're working with an Instant Pot. That's the difference between that and the slow cooker. Slow cookers, you don't necessarily have to, but that's how everything comes to pressure. So you want to make sure you shut off that saute function, okay? Now, all I have to do is turn this to the sealing position. So if you have an Instant Pot, you can go right, you can go left. You want it right in the middle, so it's sealed, and then you're just going to hit manual. And remember I said it was a 4-pound chicken, so I'm going to do 6 pounds per. So all you math geniuses out there, we got 24. Now, my chicken was actually 4.75 pounds, and I had just taken it out of the freezer and defrosted it, but it did feel a little icy, so I'm gonna give it a few extra minutes, okay? So it was 4.75 pounds, which means I'm gonna bump it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the 30-minute option, okay? So if it's fresh, 6 minutes per pound, okay? And our cat is wanting to eat. Do you hear him complaining? We listen to this a lot. Yeah. Okay. So that is how we do the chicken. When it's done here, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to let it slow release, which means I basically don't do anything. Once the timer goes off, it'll read L, and it'll start counting minutes that it's been sitting. So when it gets to L and reads 15, then I'm going to be ready to take my chicken out. Okay, so the chicken is in the Instant Pot and it's going, and I'm going to make some bone broth once the chicken is all done. Now, bone broth is really, really good for you because it has gelatin in it. That comes from the actual bones, steeping the bones. And it also has a lot of glutamine in it. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna pull the chicken out here in a little bit, and then I'm going to get the meat all off of the chicken. The chicken, all the bones, the whole rest of it goes back into the pot with some water. And then I'm going to actually put some things in there to make it taste good. So the things that I like to use are, I've got some onion and some carrot. And then remember, when you're making bone broth, the bone's already in there, so you're going to be like separating that when it's done and just using the liquid as your broth, okay? There's a lot of benefits to doing all of this. One of them being I'm using an organic chicken, so I want to make sure I don't have a lot of chemicals in my food. And I want to make sure the chickens were fed an organic feed as well. So the beautiful thing about this is organic chicken bone broth costs approximately $4 to $5 a quart. I'm going to get about 4 quarts out of this, basically for free, just out of recycling the chicken. And I really only paid $8 for the chicken itself. So for $8, I'm getting those 4 quarts. of broth along with the all this beautiful chicken it's so juicy and moist and amazing, and it's organic. So basically, if you think about it, I think at a store, if you buy a rotisserie chicken, it's probably $4 or $5, and so I'm paying a little bit more, but I'm getting so much more out of it. So the other thing that I was going to mention is I'm putting some carrots, onion, and I'm going to put some celery in with the bones in order to make that broth really flavorful. So this is just like I cut off the heart, and the hearts of celery, I cut off the base, and that can go back in to actually flavor the broth as well. Then I took the celery and I cut it up, and that's going to be for, just for snacks, along with my carrots. We're snacking while we're cooking today, Kendall and I. But then you have these centers of the hearts of celery, and they're my favorite part. They're the most tender, and I actually like to just eat them. But what I usually do is I'll take this and chop it up and put it in a salad fresh, or it's really great in soups. So for example, I would put this in a soup with the broth that I'm actually going to eat. So I'm going to that broth that I'm going to eat, I'm saving this part of the celery to eat it, okay, to put it in my soup when I make an actual soup. Now for just making the bone broth, I'm going to throw this in along with that base, okay, because these are going to be like the stiffer pieces of it. So it's a great way to recycle your celery hearts. All right, so we pulled the chicken out. We let it cool. We pulled the meat off. This is all that's left of the chicken. We had a nice big plate full, but we just had our Sunday dinner. So it's a nice rainy day, and we're going to be taking naps. So that's the perfect time to finish making this bone broth. So the bone broth, I just take the carcass of the chicken. Now Derek's grandma, Dora, would not be impressed at the way I pulled the meat out this chicken. That woman does a much better job at that than I do. But I did do my best. I don't particularly like handling this stuff, but it's all in the name of getting some good, healthy broth, right? Okay, so you can see in there, I've got the carcasses in there, and there's a max full line, okay? I'm gonna go about an inch below that with water, okay? So, got some fresh water here. It is filtered water. I do care about that. All right, I only made it to about the half point, but that's okay. Really, I'm going to be making chicken broth. So I would maybe, if I weren't filming, go ahead and keep filming, but I'll just know it's more condensed, and in the end, I might add a little more water once it's already cooked and done, okay? So think about it. In the end, it won't really matter if I add it before or after I cook it from there. I've got enough in there. So all I'm going to do is put that in. This is going to go for 2 hours in the Instant Pot under high pressure. And it is going to take all the good marrow and the collagen from the bones of the chicken. It's going to put it into the broth and make this really healthy broth. So that's a story for another day, but I will tell you that I'm going to make a leek and celery and garlicky based soup that's going to be yummy. And I'm probably just going to throw this extra chicken in there as well. So when this gets done, like I said, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to cancel because I cooked my chicken in there. I'm going to hit it on manual. And this takes a little while because I want to go for 2 hours. So I'm actually going to go backwards from 30 because it's actually going to be faster than trying to count up to 180. Yeah, it's a workout. So anyway, this is going to go, I'm actually going to go for 3 hours, 180 minutes. I know I said 2 hours, but I meant 180. So it's going to go for 3 hours. And that's really all it has to do is just sit. I'll let it slow release for about 15 minutes, and then I'll show you how you strain it. You just take a metal sieve, put that over the top, and I'm just going to pour and slowly separate the bones from the broth. The broth will be in there, and then I pour it into little containers like this and let it sit up and sit like this and stick it in the freezer. So this is some broth I've already done, and it's actually thawing out right now. But this stuff will last for up to 6 months in the freezer, and it makes the best broth.